This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this StockBox interview.
Silver bullet mines have begun mining at their Washington mine in Idaho, and joining us today is the VP of Capital Markets, Peter Clausi. Peter, good to be talking. How are you?
Hi, Mark. We've had so much news lately, I feel like I'm living with you.
Yes, we do keep talking. Of course, now that really puts you at three operations, doesn't it? Of course, Buckeye, of course, Super Champ, and now operations starting with appointment of a contract miner at Washington.
Four actually, that way, four if you include the mill.
Of course, if you include the mill as well, yeah. So I wonder if you can perhaps just describe, if you like, the scene at the Washington mine. I remember when we did a podcast with the CEO, John Carter, he talked about it being a very historical mine in the sort of 1800s. It was mined mostly for gold because they couldn't actually process the silver at the time. But, you know, there are still some pretty high-grade silvers there, aren't there?
According to the historical reports, which predate 43101, it's 120,000 tons, averaging between 30 and 90 ounces of silver per ton, with a little gold sprinkled in, like pepper.
So the gold that's sprinkled in is what was left, I suppose, from the previous operators?
Well, the way it's been explained to me, being a non-geologist, is the gold and the silver were laid down in two different geologic eras, which meant it was relatively easy for geologists to walk into the property and say, that's the gold, that's the silver. We'll take the gold. We don't want the silver at 70 cents a ton. Or an ounce, sorry. So they meticulously blocked out the silver so they wouldn't take it.
Okay. And your plan then is to get to this, what you call target zone, by effectively mining an adit about 80 feet into the face there. So can you just describe sort of the target zone? Why is it a target zone? How have you defined it?
First, we went through the historical reports and did as much mapping as we could based upon them. Then we looked at the bulk sample that Hecla took in the 1980s. That bulk sample from this area ran 44 ounces of silver per ton, which is incredible. We took our own random bulk sample in 2021 after we purchased the property, and that returned 55 ounces of silver per ton. So we're pretty sure it's a highly mineralized area. And all of these things went into forming our opinion of where we should go and where we should mine first.
Okay.
Contract miner is on site. If you saw the press release last week, there's a great picture of the contract miner setting up the pilot hole. So the methodology is you drill the pilot hole, you follow the pilot hole. That'll put him into the historical silver workings. Once he's into that, extract 50 tons a day until we have 2,000 tons. So, 52,000, that says roughly 40 days. I call it 2 months because stuff happens in business. So once the contract miner has gone through those 80 feet and reached the workings, then it's 2 months until we ship material to a mill for processing.
Okay. And how long do you expect it to take to get through to the zone then? About 2 months as well, was it?
No. We have no idea, right?
Okay.
It depends on the quality of the rock between here and there. And I'm not going to put a time out on that when we don't have accurate information.
Okay. But the idea is that you'll drill this pilot hole, get into the target zone, extract 50 tons per day until you've got 2,000, then ship it to a nearby mill. And I think from talking to John, there are quite a few mills in the area. Maybe you could even take it to your mill in Arizona.
We've talked about that. But once you look at transportation costs and opportunity cost, we'll be processing material from the Super Champ. And as you know, those grades are just silly for silver with a half ounce of gold thrown in for good measure. So based on the last press release, you're looking at roughly $2,000 worth of value per ton of material processed from the Super Champ. So I'm not going to waste that opportunity cost to process our material from up in Idaho when you have to layer trucking costs on top of it. So take it to a local mill, pay the contract miner, pay the mill, pay the truck, and we will retain whatever is left after that.
Okay. Would you potentially, maybe it's too early, but would you potentially look at getting a mill on site at Washington?
We haven't discussed that. My initial response is no.
Okay.
With other mills being in the area, it's probably easier just to run that as a simple contract mining operation.
Okay.
It takes fewer people on our side, fewer resources,
Yeah,
and we can
okay.
focus our internal efforts at the Buckeye and the Super Champ.
Okay. Good. So that pilot hole has started now, targeting that historical working. So is there any access now? I mean, can you sort of, maybe unsafely, but is there a way into the target zone at the moment and adit currently there?
I believe so, but it's not safetied.
Yeah, okay.
Right?
So this
Rocks
will be...
move over time, and we want our people to be safe.
Yeah, of course. So that's going on now. I'm sure you'll be keeping us updated on the progress of that pilot hole, and then indeed, of course, the actual adit work itself. And then we can look forward to getting into that target zone and getting that extraction going. Once that's started, you're saying about 2 months there before you're shipping it to the mill. Other points that I noticed from the press release were that you say you've discovered another high-grade zone that's running parallel. So could you just perhaps explain this, how it fits in and how you've made that discovery?
Sure. Historically, and remember, just the humble lawyer, not the geologist. But the Burger Zone and the Burger Vein were areas that were targeted historically for gold. Our field geologist on surface thinks they have found the surface expression of the Burger Vein, which runs parallel to what we're targeting for silver. So we put in an access road, which will make it easier to get trucks up there and heavy equipment. So when we get around to excavating it, it'll be easier.
Okay. But that comes later. The priority now is to really get drilling what's happening at the moment with the contract miners to get into that target zone in due course.
So if there's 120,000 tons and we're taking 2,000 tons at a time, that's 60 turns. So how long will that take? 5, 6, 7, 8 years? Who knows? But it means we're in continuous revenue throughout that period.
Okay. Good. Well, thank you very much for joining us today, Peter Clausi, the VP of Capital Markets. And I'm sure, as I say, you'll be keeping us updated across your 4 operations now as we run into Christmas.
Yep. Q1 should be fantastic.
Well, thank you very much for your time, as always, Peter Clausi, the VP of Capital Markets.
Thanks, Mark. You're always good at this. Thank you.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at StockBoxMedia.com. Thank you for watching.